Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about inflation in the coffee industry. All things related to the coffee industry. Things are definitely heating up. We've been talking about inflation all year. Even when the naysayers out there were telling us we were crazy, it has all eventuated to be something that is now front and center of the discussion for pretty much everybody that's in the industry. So we'll talk about that. Before we get started, if you are looking for consulting services in 2022, we have a variety of services available at Map It Forward with a few different coaches or consultants. Head to the show notes and check out some details if you are interested. So, inflation. If we just look at the main thing that we deal with in the coffee industry, which is coffee. If we look at the rate of inflation, at the time of the recording of this episode, we saw an astronomical kind of bounce around today on the market. And for the Arabica market, which we call the C market in our industry, it's on the New York Exchange, and that market went north of $2.50 a pound. That's US dollars. Now that is 108% increase year on year. Now this time last year, December last year, coffee was experiencing record sales in supermarkets and businesses. So we weren't seeing a dip in the rate at which our product was getting out the door. The inflation that we're experiencing is over 100% on that, and that's just in Arabica. However, that's not where the inflation story ends with regards to coffee, because Robusta is also having a bull run. And that bull run has Arabica at $2.40. And that's at 51% year-on-year increase. That is astronomical. And the reason that's astronomical is because both those prices don't look like that bull run is going to end anytime soon. It's headed in the upward trajectory. And we have an episode of the podcast coming up with Judith Gaines in the coming days. Now, if you haven't had the chance to listen to our first conversation with Judy, check it out. Judy is a soft commodity trader and has recently returned from Brazil. She spent some time there trying to really get a first-hand account of what the drought and the frost and then the following rains have done to the crops in Brazil and what will be the resulting impact of that for 2022-2023 and for the 2022-2023 harvest as well as the 23-24 harvest. So be sure to check out that episode that's coming up. Now, it's not just the inflation around the coffee itself that's a problem. There is an inflation in the supply chain that gets the coffee from origin to the consuming countries around the world that is also wreaking havoc with inflation and prices that we sell out to our consumers. And what that means is that it's difficult to find a spot on a ship to get containers from one country to another. Because it's difficult to find a spot, the price that people are prepared to pay to get their ship on a spot becomes hyper competitive, which drives the price up. So you're seeing prices of containers that this time last year were around the $2,500 mark are now significantly north of $15,000. And that's again just another part of inflation. The other aspects of inflation that are playing a role in the supply chain are customs clearance. The price of clearing things at customs have gone up. as well as the storage fees at customs. Brokerage fees have gone up, and transport fees in country have all gone up significantly. These are just from the coffee perspective in the coffee supply chain. Now, if we look at things like packaging, if we look at other aspects of it, like printing, which are causing time delays, and the time delays that are caused by that are creating competitiveness between customers who are saying that they will pay more if their work can be prioritized. Now, this is all based on supply and demand economics, which leads me to the labor force. All of these elements that are going into making our products are a part of our cost of goods. Then we look at our operating expenses. And our operating expenses, when it comes to pricing out our products, our operating expenses are the things like our rent, our labor, our insurance, all of those kinds of operating expenses that you will incur whether you sell lots of product or no product. And what we're finding is that because of the shift in culture that we're experiencing in the coffee industry, which we spoke about in the previous episode, because of that shift in culture, what we are finding is that the labor force is making greater demands on a variety of expectations that they have from potential employers. Those demands include increased wages, increased benefits. They include more time off paid. It includes better working conditions. It includes wellness packages. It includes a variety of things, which not only does the labor itself in increase cost more money, but all the additional things that people are asking for costs a lot of money. But the added layer that is costing businesses in the coffee industry even more money is that because there is a huge reduction in availability of labor, the tendency of employees to stay at a business is reduced if they are offered better conditions somewhere else. The average cost to retrain an employee is hugely significant to a business, and it's estimated at being somewhere around $6,000 across the time of the lifetime of an employee for every business. Now, if we see the rate at which people are coming in and out of businesses in the coffee industry, these kinds of things cost businesses money that they don't have. Now, in upcoming episodes, I'm going to be doing a swapcast with Sara Al-Ale. She is the host of our Map It Forward Middle East podcast. And recently, I worked with Sara for her business, That Cafe in Saudi Arabia, to do a hiring plan that has proven to be incredibly successful. We will talk at length and go into a detailed process of how we approached the hiring plan that Sara has used to open her new cafe, and will continue to use this plan moving forward. It has been really, really great. But it is important to understand that the traditional model for hiring, which is typically we're looking for a barista who's got 2 years experience in specialty coffee and can do latte art. It's not going to work anymore. And it's not going to work because the workforce has shifted and the culture has shifted. And you need to have a clear understanding of how much the business can afford to outlay for staff based on what it is exactly that they want. Now, when you add all of these things that we've spoken about together, the increased price of coffee, the lack of availability of coffee, the increased price of shipping and logistics, the increased price of packaging, plus the labor force, All of these things, and we haven't really even covered the majority of all the other things that are involved in cafes. Croissants and different syrups and the increased price of other things that you don't typically think of necessary every day in a cafe, replacing breakages and napkins, and all of these things are really difficult to get access to. It is making running a business in coffee very expensive. Unfortunately, the majority of businesses are not across understanding their costings. They will definitely tell you that the price of running a business has gone up. But can they tell you how much more it's gone up to run their business versus how much more each of their individual cogs are? Unfortunately not. And this is where having somebody explain to you how a profit and loss statement works is really valuable. This is not something you should be leaving up to your accountant. Get your accountant to put it together, and then get your accountant to explain to you in great I say great detail, but even at a high level kind of understanding. This is how much your total cogs are. This is how much your operating expenses are. And this is how much net profit you made. 2022 is going to be challenging economically, way more than it is right now. As we speak, at the recording of this podcast, the stock market has started to crash. I'm not making a big hoo-ha out of it yet, but it has started. And what I suspect will happen is that we will start to see some sort of a flow-on effect over the coming 12 months across the world. Are you ready? Is your business ready to absorb significant shifts in the way that consumers spend money? Are you ready to prepare for the continuation of inflation? Because it will continue. Just recently, the Fed said that they are no longer using the word transitory. They are eliminating the word transitory now when talking about inflation. No surprises there. So, if this is something that we can help you with, this is something we're already helping many Mapper Forward clients with through 2021, and we'd be happy to have a chat with you if we can find a consultant that suits your needs. Check out the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends, please, friends. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.